So I've had a Steam Deck for a day now, and I've been messing with it a lot, and I want to talk about kind of my initial impressions of this very, very big handheld. And there are things I like about it, there are things I'm not so sold about it. But let's go through it. And look, you guys know that I'm a big handheld fan. For me, ever since Sony kind of gave up on the Vita, I've been looking for a handheld that I could really kind of spend a lot of time with. And I feel like the Switch, although it's got a great library, it's not very comfortable to play. I just find that it's just, when I'm holding it, I don't love it. I don't like the buttons as well. There's just things about it I'm just not a fan of. And obviously when it comes to kind of these big AAA games, they don't all run perfectly on it. So, thinking of stuff like Witcher, it's not great on the Switch. I'm a big fan though of the AYN Odin, which is what I've been using a lot. And this little handheld is great when it comes to emulation. It's an Android handheld, so you can also play Game Pass on it. It's actually really good for Stadia as well. I've been actually enjoying Stadia on this thing, which is pretty cool. But you can't have AAA games on it, which kind of brings me to the Steam Deck. I was kind of a bit hesitant to buy this thing because when I saw pictures of it, when I looked at the kind of the weight of it, I thought, I'm not sure, this is kind of too big, and it really is too big. This is wider than the laptop I'm using right now to record this video. But there are some things that are really, really cool about it. I think, just looking at the device itself, the first thing is it's really comfortable to hold. It's got these grips at the back of it for your hand, and it makes it really comfortable to hold. It's also got the kind of back triggers, which I really like because I never like pressing the R3 and L3 analog sticks down. And so I quite like that you can map controls to these triggers, and it's really well designed from that kind of mapping perspective as well. So for different games, you can select how these back buttons behave, which is really cool. It's really well thought out as a machine in terms of for gamers, which is great. On the machine as well, you've got these kind of track pads, one on each side, which are basically kind of act as your mouse, essentially. Those I'm not big fans of. It doesn't feel very comfortable, very responsive, especially when you press it down. It feels kind of a little bit stuck when you're pressing to select it. I think a mouse is much better. But I think that's probably my biggest complaint with it. Actually, the L1 and R1 triggers as well. Not a big fan of those. They feel quite buried into the system, so I'm always kind of trying to look for where they are essentially when it comes to using them. L2, R2 feel great, and like I said, these back triggers, they're really useful. I really like that. The device itself, it's really impressed me in terms of the interface. Now, when I was reading up on it, when I was thinking about getting it, I thought it was restricted to just Steam. So I thought it would be just, you load up Steam and you can download your library, you can buy new games. But actually there's a lot more here because you can actually load up kind of a desktop mode, and it basically is like Windows. So I was not very familiar with Linux before. I'm still not that familiar, to be honest, but there's a desktop mode on the Steam Deck, which means you can just kind of like download new apps and be able to use them on the Steam Deck. So I was able to install PlayStation Plus, so I can stream PlayStation games onto this, which was only possible on a PC. And then you can also put other things like Game Pass. Emulation, you can get any of the emulators you want really easily and put it on this thing. I mean, for me, it's not really something I'm going to use for emulation, but I was just really impressed of how easy it is to put different programs on this device. What I think I'll be using it mainly for is AAA games. So, it's awesome, the idea of playing like Elden Ring on the go, Final Fantasy VII Remake on the go. That's what really excites me about this, which was the reason I bought it. Because I thought, even though it is massive, and even though I'm not a fan of kind of the size of it, being able to play those games on an actual device rather than streaming them, that really, really does appeal to me. And it's just, the Steam has got such a great library. It's got a massive library of games. AAA games, indie games, and so having it all on this handheld is awesome. And they have such great sales, so it just means that if you think the game is too expensive, just wait a few months. They go on sale so often that you'll easily be able to get things at a discount if you want them. The screen is decent. It's a big screen. and put it back in there if you guys can see it. It's a big screen. It does take up most of the area. There are bezels on the side, at the bottom and the top, but it's fine. It feels like a really good screen, so it's good for kind of looking at the games and playing the games. Like I said, very comfortable to hold. I'm really kind of happy with how it feels to play. And that's one of the complaints I have with the Switch, is that I think the rectangle edges on the Switch, and it doesn't have this kind of the back grip. It just means that it feels less comfortable to hold and play over long sessions, whereas this kind of feels much better. I also think the price is pretty good for it. So £550, I think approximately I paid, and that's for the 512 gig version, which came with a case as well. It doesn't seem, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, a Switch is around £300, and this is just so much more advanced than a Switch. The games it'll play are just so much more than a Switch, and you can do so much more with it than a Switch, that it just feels like worth the price, in my opinion. It does kind of make me wish that Nintendo would bring out a Switch 2, but that kind of something to compete a bit more with the higher end devices. But I'm not sure. The Switch is selling so well, I'm not sure they would bother. In terms of the controls themselves, they feel great. So like the analog sticks feel great, the D-pad feels great, the buttons feel good, responsively clicky, which I like. I do find it a little bit odd in terms of the placement. It's something I think I'll have to just get used to, where you've got the analog stick and the D-pad right next to each other, and similarly on the other side. I think it will take a little bit of getting used to, but it feels good. It feels good. I'm pretty happy with it. The placement of them mean that, you know, it's easy to kind of reach your thumb between the two when you need to. So I think it'll work. I think I'll get used to this over time. In terms of the things I'm not a fan of, so firstly, like I said, the biggest thing is it's just so big. It's so big. It just feels so massive to hold. Funnily enough, it's not super heavy, so when you look at it, it feels like it should be heavier, but it's not. And I think part of that is down to it's made of plastic, and that sort of plasticky feel, it feels kind of not premium, if that's the right way to describe it. You know, again, when you think about the Vita, you know, this thing just looked awesome when the first time you saw it, and this is the slim model. The OLED model was even better, where it just looks really sleek, and the Steam Deck just feels a bit too kind of plasticky for me. You know, I feel like this is sort of, it doesn't kind of look impressive to me. It looks like a big chunky gaming device, but it's not. It doesn't kind of have that wow which the Vita had when it first came out. It gets very hot when you're playing. It got hot really quickly, actually, which did surprise me how hot it gets, and the fan does make a fair amount of noise as well. A couple of weird things: it doesn't download games in sleep mode. So when you put it in sleep mode, it'll stop downloading, which I found really annoying. So, you know, if I I was downloading quite a few games from my library, and it just stopped downloading them, which was really, really annoying. So I just had to leave it on for a few hours to get everything downloaded. I already mentioned the mouse trackpad is rubbish. I really don't like that. And did I mention it's just really, really big, really just so big. But I do think this is pretty impressive, and one of the things I'm excited about, I think I've mentioned this on previous videos, is that I'm writing a book all about PS3 games. And so part of the writing of the book and part of putting it all together is getting images of screenshots of various games. And so I've already downloaded a whole load of third-party PS3 games, or third-party games that were on the PS3. So I can just take screenshots of them, assuming they're not kind of too different. So I want to make sure that the quality of the games doesn't look way too good compared to what it actually looks like on the PS3. But that kind of thing is pretty awesome, being able to do that. And, you know, just again, being able to have Elden Ring on the go is just so cool. I haven't played it yet, but, you know, I've seen videos of it running. It's awesome. That idea alone is awesome. And just, again, so many great games that I think will be really cool to play on the go, and being able to play on this rather than sort of trying to stream it or having to sit in front of my PS5 to play them. So far I'm impressed. You know, a couple of things that I'm not not overly happy with in terms of size, in terms of the plasticky feel, this silly trackpad. But I think this is really well designed, and it really, it feels like it is made in a really smart way for gamers. I mean, a good example of this is on the Epic Game Store. So you can get the Epic Game Store on this pretty easily, really easily actually. And so I downloaded Darkest Dungeon 2, which is only on Epic Games. And it wasn't recognizing the controller, but you can map these controls to different sort of buttons on the keyboard. So it'll help you then play different games, even if those games require the keyboard, which is really cool. Again, really well thought out. And you can do that for each game. You can map the controls for each game. So it's not like it's, you have to have one setting for every single game, and you have to change it every time. You can do it for each game, which is really cool. And again, that means you can set the functionality of the back triggers as well, in terms of how you want it to behave on particular apps. And so I was using it on PlayStation Plus, and being able to use these back triggers and just being able to play games like Returnal, Horizon, God of War, Days Gone. I can play them through PS Plus on this and just stream it, which is, again, really cool to be able to have that on a massive screen like this. So it's cool. I was hesitant before about the Steam Deck, but so far I am impressed with what I've seen of it. I wish it was smaller so it could be a bit more portable. It just feels so big, but other than that, it's pretty cool. So guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Steam Deck? Do you want to see more Steam Deck videos? Is this something that, I just feel like the Vita is just, I haven't got as much to say about it these days. I've talked about so many of the games, and I'm just playing games in my backlog. I've been playing Russian Subway Dogs, which I've already spoken about. Do you want to see more Steam Deck videos? Is that of interest? Let me know in the comments, guys. If you have a Steam Deck, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching.